Welcome back to the channel. My name's Nick. In this quick start video, we're going to program and bind the E-Flite Habu SS 50mm EDF jet plane into a Spektrum air transmitter. To accomplish this, we're going to utilize the programming guide found on page 4 of the owner's manual. Now, just like with all of our owner's manuals, if you ever need a downloadable PDF copy, that can be found on the product page website under the Manuals tab. You'll find a link in the video description below right to that product page. Just like we discussed in the overview video, you will need a Spektrum air transmitter, 5+ channels. I'm going to be using my trusty NX8 transmitter. To power the plane, I'm going to be using a Spektrum G1 3S 2200 mAh battery. Because all of my components are Spektrum Smart, I'll be able to see the plane's battery level from the transmitter during flight. Takes a lot of the guesswork out of flight times. Let's first start on page 4 of the owner's manual and get this plane programmed into our transmitter. Located on page 4 of the owner's manual, you will find the setup guides for our Spektrum bind and fly transmitters, DX series, NX series, and IX series. We're going to be using steps 1 through 8 of the NX series transmitter setup. Starting with step 1, we're going to power on our transmitter. Underneath that, we will select our scroll wheel and roll to System Setup and click the scroll wheel. We are going to disable the radio frequency. Yes. Now, moving on to step 2, scroll to Model Select and press the scroll wheel. We are going to add a new model, select the airplane model type, scroll down to Create, and press the scroll wheel. Now we can set the model name. We're going to scroll down to Model Name, click the auto-generated model name, go ahead and clear the current model. I'm going to name this Habu SS 50mm. After the model name is inputted correctly, press the back button, moving our cursor from the keyboard to the model name. Scroll up to back. All right, now that we're back at the main screen, we can move along to step 5. To enter our dual rate and expo settings, we're going to click the scroll wheel once and scroll down to dual rate and expo. You'll see that we first start with our aileron channel. We're going to set our aileron channel to switch F. This is going to also have a 100% high rate with an expo of 10 and a 70% rate with an expo of 5. Moving down to the very bottom where it says switch on, go ahead and click the scroll wheel once. We're going to cycle switch F back and forth. You'll see that when I move switch F, the switch automatically turns to the moved switch, in this case switch F. I like to set my high rates pushed all the way forward, so my high rates will be 0 and my low rates will be down on 2. Click the scroll wheel to save switch F. Scroll up to rates. We're going to have my low rate 2 set to 70%, so we change this rate down from 100 to 70 by clicking and scrolling on the wheel. When we get to the desired point, 70, push the scroll wheel again and scroll down to expo. Again, we're going to click the scroll wheel and increase to 5%. When we reach the 5%, click the scroll wheel once again. Now we'll find in switch F, when I'm at the low rate at the bottom of the switch, I will have 70% rate with 5% expo. Now let's set the high rate. Go ahead and move to the top, or 0. And again, following the manual, we're going to change our expo to 10% by clicking the scroll wheel and scrolling up to 10 and clicking one more time to save. We are going to copy the high rate onto our middle switch by also clicking the expo, rolling up to 10. Now with everything saved, you'll see when we're in the lower position of this switch, I've got a rate of 70 and an expo of 5. When I move into the higher rate, I have a rate of 100% and an expo of 10%. Now we can set our dual rate and expo for our elevator switch. we're going to set our elevator switch to switch C. So moving down from list to aileron channel, we're going to click here and scroll to the right, which would be elevator. Go ahead and click the scroll wheel again. And just like we did in the previous step, we're going to set our high rates to 100% rate and 10% expo, and the low rate to 70% and expo of 5%. Scroll down to the switch. In this instance, we're going to be utilizing the C switch. Click the scroll wheel once and cycle the C switch. The C switch again will automatically be selected. Press the scroll wheel to save the selection and scroll up to our rates. Again, we're going to have our low rate set on the down position of the switch, or 2. My rate needs to be pressed and changed down to 70, just like we did in the prior set. And I'll click the scroll wheel, and my expo needs to be changed to 5. Click the scroll wheel and increase to 5. Press the scroll wheel to save. Now I'm going to move the switch position to my high rate and change my expo to 10%. Clicking the scroll wheel and moving to 10. Clicking the scroll wheel once again to save. And I'm going to copy that to my 1 position as well. So click the expo and move to 10%. Now we can verify that when we move to our low rate position, we get the correct inputs, and our high rate position, we get the correct inputs. Now we need to move along to step 6 for our elevator. Our G switch is hiding over here. We're going to cycle the G switch. You'll see it automatically say switch G with a position of 0, 1, and 2. Just like before, I like my switch to be all the way down for my low rate, so I'm going to set my 2nd position as my low rates. Press the scroll wheel to save and scroll up to rate. We're going to go down to 70. Click the scroll wheel to save. Change to our expo, and we need an expo of 5. So we're going to click the expo on the scroll wheel, scroll to 5, and click one more time to save. Now let's adjust our high rates by moving our switch to the forward position and increasing the expo to 10%. Push the scroll wheel, move to the 10%, and press the scroll wheel again to save. We're going to copy the high rates into the middle position of the switch as well. Pressing the scroll wheel and scrolling up to 10%. Press again to save. Lastly, verify that by utilizing the G switch between high and low rates, the corresponding percentages match the 10 and 100% and 5 and 70%. Now, moving on to step 8, we are going to set our throttle cut switch. First, scroll from rudder up to list, select the scroll wheel button again, bringing us back to our main function list. Scroll down to throttle cut and push the scroll wheel. Underneath throttle cut, we're going to scroll to switch with another click of the scroll wheel. Cycle the switch you would like to utilize for throttle cut. I'm going to be using the H switch. When you cycle the H switch, you'll see that it automatically appears on the screen. Save this by selecting the scroll wheel. Scroll back up to list to save the selection. Finally, we can scroll up to main screen. We are back in the model and ready to bind the plane. As a note, if you are not utilizing Spektrum electronics or a P&P or plug-and-play aircraft, be sure and follow the updated measurements found in the addendum that shipped in the box. First, start by plugging in the IC3 connectors. Be sure and grasp the plastic portions and push together firmly. Now press and hold the bind button on the receiver. When you do this, the orange light will begin to flash on the receiver. Scroll down on our functions list to the bind portion of the function list. Select bind. We are going to continue past the caution. Move to bind. Select the scroll wheel to bind. Once the receiver light goes from flashing to solid, you can release the button. We also saw that the flight control surfaces cycled twice. That lets us know that we bound with safe enabled. Let's double check that the control surfaces work. First, we can check that our ailerons operate correctly. Our elevator operates correctly up and down. Our rudder, left and right. With our throttle cut turned off and the plane in a safe orientation, we can check throttle. Looks like everything checks out great. Just like its larger counterpart, the Habu 70mm, this 50mm plane goes together quick and easy, and it flies like a dream. Because this is a EDF or a jet plane, it is best enjoyed in a large open environment. Think a large open field free of obstructions, people, pets, buildings, trees, even power line wires. Be sure and check local regulations before flying. If you run into any questions, feel free to reach out to us on horizonhobby.com via the chat or email function 7 days a week. Thank you so much for following along. And until next time, safe flying. Oh, you're still here. You stuck around. This video, we've got a little Easter egg for you. This plane features reversed thrust capabilities. And just as it sounds, instead of propelling the plane forward, this reverses the airflow and either slows the plane down or reverses the plane. This is fantastic for a shorter runway, or if you just want to reverse your plane and show off to your friends. So let's zoom in on the transmitter, get it set up. It's quick and easy. We'll be reversing before we know it. Let's set up reverse thrust. With your transmitter powered on and updated to the latest update available on your Spektrum account on the Spektrum website, also a link located in the video description below. Power on the plane. Be sure that your throttle cut is engaged and your throttle position is all the way down. Now plug in the plane. Our control surfaces cycled twice, letting us know that we are bound and in safe. On the scroll wheel, scroll all the way to the last screen, Smart ESC. Hold the throttle and aileron stick down and to the middle. You'll see on the screen, step 2 will show up here in 5 to 10 seconds. Let go and move to step 2. When you do this for 5 to 10 seconds, you'll see that we have now entered in our Smart ESC avian settings. All of the settings will be changed via our aileron stick. We are going to scroll down to brake type, and going to the right, we are going to select reverse. Now, going down one more, we see brake force. We're going to set the brake force to 7. So go right 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and finally, we'll see that brake force is 7. Going down, we will see the next page of the settings. We're just going to continue through all of these, and we're not going to change any of these. At the very bottom of the list, on the last page, we will see the thrust reverse. We're going to keep it on channel 7. It's my B switch. It's a quick and easy channel to get to. Finally, go down to exit with save. With the aileron stick, select exit with save. You'll hear the plane restart. Now let's test things. With our throttle hold turned off, forward works great. With our throttle reversed, reverse works great. All right, thanks for sticking around to the very end. There really is nothing else left. We'll see you next time.